a gift. And you should not expect anything more. And as for the chocolates, just hide it when people come and visit. I mean, my position on chocolates is absolutely clear. Do not share your chocolates under any circumstances with anyone, for any reason whatsoever. Never do it.
Oh, that's fun. Sandra, are you ready to join us?
Just probably saying, get me out of this coot farm.
Fun stuff.
Well, it's 1 o'clock here in the East, and we are going to... Patrice, are you feeling guilty you didn't thank us for them? Oh,
Yahoo
God.
Studios is more than a metal fabricator.
I'm always criticizing Patrice because she had some delicious family silver
executed and precise.
of value that her grandfather, I think it was her grandfather, gave to the local museum. And if I'd been there, I would have thrown myself under the gun. Don't! Museums are the enemy. Once a museum gets its paws on something, good luck for you. You're never going to get back, and you're never going to find a duplicate. So anyone who supports me, excuse me, except in my professional capacity as a nonprofit consultant, anyone who supports museums is minding me. I would stand in the doorway and say, you're not getting that Renoir through this door, not while I'm alive. My dad wanted them to. I know, Patrice, your father was a suspect. Your father probably was a good man who got bamboozled by some museum curator. If any of my things end up in a museum, I know I will have failed.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's the big thing. Here's the big moral issue now, especially given the... and I told this to the banker the other day, it being my annual checkup for Saturday. I said, David, I have a problem. I don't know. I feel now that I've saved Max's life, I don't want him to just go anywhere. Should I have Max cremated with me? It's consummate. He said, you're worried about a stuffed rabbit? I said, this isn't a stuffed rabbit. This is Max. What I say to call him a stuffed rabbit? This is the question. Is it, if you were in my shoes, would you want to go with K-Max with you or leave him behind? This is a very important question. Do not treat it with any frivolity whatsoever.
Yep.
Anyone who laughs now gets thrown out. Beat it.
I have to say, he'd come with me.
So, see, here's the deal.
I couldn't leave him behind. Well, unless he was going someplace where he would be taken care of with the same,
you know very well
love.
People to get the money involved in this. I'm giving Max more money than the average person makes in a lifetime. Is already in the will. And if I was to fall down the stairs today and break my neck, he'd get the money. In fact, somebody said he might push you down the stairs with your neck to get the money. Did you ever do it? Doesn't grab it, but just leave on it.
Oh, dear.
I have spent more time on this insoluble issue.
Well,
good day, Sandra. Come on in and say hi.
Been on the order form for some time now. Would love to know if you are placing your order.
See, I come up with the great questions of humanity, which nobody else is asking. I mean, there's a very social use for me. I mean, how many times have you thought about what's going to happen to your teddy bear? I see, and your first reaction is you're going to laugh, and you're going to. I hope you spit up all over your computer keyboard. Yeah, that's what
I have teddy bears all over my house, Dr. Lant. I don't know which one I would take.
Well, okay. Well, excuse me. It doesn't have to be one. You could take two, although then you'd have a lifetime of separating.
Yeah.
Eternity. I haven't decided on this question, though. It's an open question. I can just imagine that the lawyer, when the lawyer came over to write the codicil for Max, I mean, that was precious. Everyone was in character that day, because you know why, even though I might be insane, I'm insane with the money. So as long as I have signatory powers over the money, what can they do to me? The worst thing they can do to me is, Dr. Lamp.
Have to find somebody who would be a caretaker, an appropriate caretaker for Max.
Okay,
really?
I will be able to help you on that one. That Chelsea is getting the caretakership. as things currently stand. And I made sure that Chelsea has met Max, and Max, of course, is wondering if she's sufficiently responsible. I mean, all the usual questions that you would ask someone who was going to have a guardian of some kind. Do they drink? They don't. Will they get rid of them and bring it over here? Who knows the difference between warm bourbon and water? A lot of things start coming out in your life when you are Abraham Maslow is I love him. You know, the hierarchy of needs. No, most people never get to the hierarchy of needs. They get to the very big bottom. They eat, you know, and stay healthy and all that stuff. But I'm right up there. And so consequently, some of the things that come out are a little loopy. But they're questions of our time. Like, what about you never had a list of questions for God, did you? I've been keeping this list for a long time. Things I want God to explain to me. Like, what is a hypotenuse? I mean, have you thought about it? Have you looked in the last 40 years or so? Have you used that hypotenuse? If a hypotenuse came over and bit you, would you know what he looked like? I mean, really, would you know? Tell the truth.
You know the shortest distance between 2 points.
The shortest distance between 2 points is your bank account. That's one of the questions. Like, why are we taught so much in school that it's completely useless and you never think of the rest of your life? Why is this? 95% of what you learn in high school, what you learn in quotation marks in high school, is completely useless. True or false?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I agree.
Didn't you think that? Didn't after a little while you began to conceive of the theory that they had just come up with this junk? You go to a junk store, they bought a couple of old books and put together a curriculum called education to keep you out of their hair. I mean, it finally dawned on you that it was like an adolescent daycare center.
Yes. Oh, good. So true. Oh my.
But you know what my next career is going to be, don't you? Can you fathom what my next career is?
Here? Don't know, Dr. Blaine.
My next career is the Comedy Connection. I am going to go on to the Comedy Connection and tell the truth about everything. It'll be the most hysterical program ever on television. I have millions of fans who will be screaming my name rapturously, also trying to steal Max. This is a problem that you don't have. Well, maybe you do. If you had to be poisoned, someone might want to poison, not poison. If you got to, you've got to be prominent. Your dog might be a target for kidnappers. Just want you to know that. It's probably something that hasn't really dawned on you, right? When I think about it all the time. See, Max used to travel with me, and then I had a moment of reverie once, and I said, the last big trip that he went on was to London with me. Of course, everyone knows what happened there with the Margaret Thatcher episode. And by the way, when Max does This Is Your Life, Dr. Lant, which he's working on now, Margaret Thatcher's will be one of the stories that will come up. Tell us about the weirdest experience you ever had. Well, I met this woman named Sharon O'Shots. God almighty, she made me laugh. What was she like? I tell her the story about you. See, there's no end to it. We're here with Sharon O'Shots from New Jersey. She claims to know where Fort Lee, New Jersey is. I don't believe him. I don't think anyone really knows. I didn't know you were there. We are waiting for... What are we waiting for?
Jeremiah to be ready.
Are we waiting for Patrice? Oh, Jeremiah.
No, Jeremiah.
I have so many Jeremiah stories now. I look about Jeremiah like a little brother who thought he could outsmart me, but can't. There's absolutely no way I have gotten him coming and going. Oh, you're good. Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Jeffrey Lant here at Worldprofit Comedy Central. We're having a good time with Sharon. We're having what a hell of a month are we having. It's just wonderful. When the snow melted, people's pocketbooks seemed to open, and the people came out of the frozen tundra. We actually have snow here. I'm lecturing you today from the Costa del Cambridge, Massachusetts, the headquarters of the Internet. We are hot. If you come to Cambridge, and on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and Harvard University and MIT, I hope you will, you will see the future here. This is where the Internet is being invented, perfected, advanced, enhanced. And so Sharon O'Shots is she's just it's eating at her. She's down there in New Jersey, which has nothing going for it but a couple of tomato plants, the Garden State. Well, how do you feel when you look upon Cambridge and what we're doing here? Are you jealous like you're supposed to be? Are you like radically jealous?
I don't even have an opinion, actually. No, I'm not jealous.
Did you see, folks, how cleverly we brainwashed her? So you're happy having 2 tomato plants when we get the trillions of dollars. And if you're happy with that, we're happy. We'll give you a tomato plant out of the goodness of our heart.
Oh, thank you. We certainly need a few extras around here. And a few cranberries to add to the bog, and,
I've lived here now for 40 years and more. I have never seen a cranberry bog, and it's been on my list of the top 1,000,000 things to do for 40 years. Let me ask a few questions about the bog. This is really serious. We have ocean spray right here in this state. This is the ocean spray state. But I wrote an article once about cranberries, and cranberries are red, and the word is cooperative. So most Americans thought that the communists had taken over the cranberry industry and were using the hammer and sickle, which to cut that's a communist symbol. So they thought the communist industry would be it was cooperative, was taken over by proto-communists. What do you think? Do you think your cranberries have been touched by communism?
I wouldn't have said I thought about it.
I've stopped you in your tracks so many times this morning. I ought to get out of the warrant. we have to, in all fairness, we must read this coming on the screen. It's a mature ball game. Well, yes, of course it's mature. I'm the only one around here that might not do that. Listen, for anyone who wants to know this, I'm 70 years old. If you can't laugh at yourself at 70, it's too late. So if you see a growling person going around the house, make them laugh, or just take some quinine and put it or snuff them. I'm in favor of snuffing the grumps. In fact, I might have a new slogan: "Snuff the grumps," and you know that within an hour it would be viral.
That sounds like something that the Grinch would say.
The Grinch would have a good time. The Grinch, as it turns out, owned a whole bunch of snowmobiles and snow removal equipment. He got it cheap from some state like Alabama that didn't use very much, so he went down and paid him 25 cents on the dollar. He got himself a fleet, and he rented himself out for the last. He bet that there would be record snow, and the Grinch is now overrun with money. I mean, he can't even figure out how to spend it. So he's thinking about having a Grinch casino. License from Dr. Seuss for the Grinch casino. You can Grinch glasses, Grinch chips, Grinch people wear Grinch outfits. Instead of having bunnies, you could have Grinchettes. I think we've got a lot of. Anyway, to make the long story short, he's rolling with cash. He calls me up every once in a while because I'm the only guy. He still doesn't know my name. He always says, "Hey, Mac, how are you?" And I know it's the Grinch. He even took his dog to a shampoo place, but that dog had never been washed, so they closed it to the public. They fumigated before, during, and after the soap was applied.
Oh, goodness. Rob and Jill.
I miss my Grinch. We're here at Worldprofit, and what we do all day, every day, is we put money in your pocket, and we don't understand why all of you don't come down here and at least look at what we're doing. And don't you think it's strange? People come here from all over the world, and they just sit there like a dead horsefly, and they don't do anything, they don't ask any questions, they do nothing. What do you think about that?
I think that's horrible. I think people need to open their minds and say, "Hey, Liz, Jill, we're talking to you. Well, we'd love for you to find out more."
I've come up with a theory on this. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So I think one of the reasons why people don't do this is because they're happy in their poverty. They have poor friends, they have their easy chair, their favorite programs, a couple of extra beers or whatever stuck away. And I think that they've reached a level of happiness, which is like barely out of a garbage can, but there they are. I think that people, if they got an extra $1,000 a month, if they got an extra $2,000 a month, would flip out. First of all, people would crawl out of work. Hey, Charlie, I lent you that $100 16 years ago. You never paid it back. There'd be a lot of broken relationships. Wives would have more, and husbands would have more to look. Okay, he took out $1,900 this morning out of the bank. There's only $1,100 left. What the frick did you do with the $800? I think there'd be a lot more of that. Don't you think? I think people are happy in their low lives. They're happy with having nothing. So long as they can get one of the 138 varieties of salsa, they're happy. That's it. There's my sociological analysis of why so many people are so lazy. They're completely useless. We see a Worldprofit. We've been here for 23 years, other people. Right?
Yeah.
Go on, go for it.
Jill and William Watkins. First of all, I would like to welcome you to Worldprofit. This is our live business center. We are in the midst of the Anything Goes program, and surely anything goes. So we'd love for you to just kind of hang out and sit with us, or you can go in and watch our quick video. It's only 7 minutes long. Then return here for a spectacular offer. We would love for you to get all those details. You can make an informed decision about joining us. So on the screen are some directions in green. The best way to get into the video is just click on the box down below that says Watch Video. And do keep in mind that we cannot see or hear you, so you need to communicate with us by chat.
Let's look at this fact closely. I have a PhD from Harvard in history, and with a bent towards sociology. So we're going to do a little question. Why is there so much ass pinching from football players? We used to know that on Fellini, on the Via Veneto, if you were pinched when an American woman on Via Veneto, you were crushed, because it meant that you were not sympathetic there. Now that pinching seems to have migrated over to the football field. I don't understand. I've asked Michael Harris, who was a football player, and he got all red in the face and embarrassed. And I thought, oh my God, he's been corrupted himself. I mean, if you were not corrupted by, posterior pitching, what and pats, what is going on, Sharon? I don't want to pat any football player. I mean, and I've actually met some football players, and I have absolutely no desire to pat them. Am I wrong? Am I off the social register as usual? What's the story? What's the story on this pitching hand going on?
I've never got out, I have to say.
And they try to leap into each other's arms and pitch. So, excuse me, if I read these guys' order, that looks to me like something that was just a playboy. Whoop! My name is Paul T. I'm from Shortbread Station, South Dakota, and my family comes from South Dakota and also from south of the United States. And I don't know the difference, but I'm told they're two separate places. And I play football. And there's nothing I like better than getting that touchdown and petting my dog. Excuse me. I tend to get nauseous by any number of things, and that's definitely right up there the list. Well, what it should be was that Michael Harris, who was here. Oh, Harris is here. Yeah. Harris, if this is ringing any bells with you, come up and say how do you do. I don't get it. Harris, who was actually one of those pinchers, who wouldn't tell me. What does that tell you? If you asked a friend, why are you pinching people, what would you think if they didn't answer you? Do you think there was some kind of conspiracy going on?
What they were hiding?
Well, apparently nothing at all. This is the thing that bothers me. This apparently goes. I mean, apparently there's such a need for that. This is now one of the official criteria of the National Football League. If you're a good pitcher, if you're able to catch balls, throw balls, and pinch, and there's a fact. And I'm not making this up. You can see it in the official NSA contract posted at NSA.com. That's one thing that really bothers me about life in our times, is the amount of pinching going on. I'm also concerned about people don't like to do free. I was totally in favor of couples living together before marriage. Now they do that and it's just the same. They don't have the freedom anyway. I like the idea of free love, but as it was outlined in the 1920s in the United States, there was a whole movement. And it was considered women were allowed to think, drink, smoke, and have boyfriends without benefit of clergy. That sounded like a pretty good deal to me and to other men. Now, the men want security. You know why? Do you believe, I do, that all men were once female zygotes? See, I have been a female, but you've never been a male, so I know more than you do.
Well, my sister-in-law described it as the defective chromosome in men.
See, this is men. This is how they talk about us behind our back, and now they're getting so cocky they talk about it in front of our face. I don't like women. Excuse me if I'm being pejorative. I don't like women going on the street talking about me as a defective chromosome, which gives me the grief. And I also get really angry every time you say I have a defective hormone. I feel like I got chiseled out of God's store.
Well,
like I simply can't stand another minute of you being superior. Just because you got a whole chromosome, you're supposed to be a social worker. You're supposed to make me feel better. TLC. You're missing a chromosome.
Well, what can I say?
You're supposed to love me, cherish me because I'm a defective chromosome. Instead of ridiculing,
quite a few of them actually.
Well, okay. So that's even worse. You have all this bad news that you give me. Now you have to inflate it so we have even more bad news. Are you women making some kind of a move on us?
Well, you did just say you were female zygote. I mean, really now?
Well, no, excuse me. Someone told me that. I wouldn't know zygote from a nuclear explosion. What does it look like? How big is it? What color is it? Where does it reside? Does it pay taxes? Tell me what is a zygote anyway? That's
it's that first cell.
Can you take me into the world of zygote? Can you describe it so that a non-zygote person like me, I wouldn't know a zygote, period. How many do we have? What is that good for?
The first cell of the person, put it together, and there we got your zygote.
First cell connected to the second cell, the second cell connected to the third cell, the third cell connected to the fourth cell, whole brain,
populating. Yes.
Well, why did they stop? What causes them to start? What causes them to stop? I mean, are they moving on? Are they moving inside my body right now? Because that would make me sick if you said this. Or how do they get out? You're not being very helpful to a person who doesn't know any science. You do what?
You put together an egg and a sperm, and you put them together, and now you have a zygote. And they multiply until you have a person.
Who's doing this? Do we have a chef in the kitchen? Is it like making an egg sandwich? You make it sound like an egg McMuffin.
Yes, that is true.
I want you to say, here are the conditions. I know no science. I know Zippo. I know nothing about science, actually.
Okay.
I can remain as ignorant on this subject for all these years. So, and you come in, you're my science consultant. You got to give me an analogy. I want to know, are these like, this thing, they go, this thing? That sounds like an egg McMuffin to me.
When you fertilize the female egg,
they are egg McMuffins. You represent McDonald's, don't you? And these zygotes are what people eat $1.25 for.
There you go.
You think? I knew it. No, it's embarrassing.
It's just the initial cell.
Sharon's trying to bamboozle me. Okay, but you told me that this one cell becomes 2 cells, becomes 63 cells, becomes 4 billion cells. And I asked you a simple question. A simple question you couldn't answer. Where are all these cells living? And how do they get in there and how do they get them out?
The zygote is only the first cell. After that, the cells continue to split and multiply. And that's how you exist, because cells are constantly being replenished. Zygote.
Okay, I always wanted to know. People are asking me, this is my first chance to ask this question in 70 years, and I feel like I ought to know before I croak. How does a cell know when to quit? Why don't they just say, I'm happy to get rid of self-division, I don't want to be stopped? What stops them? The sheriff comes down and says, quit dividing? Explain to me how this works.
cells continue to divide, but there's by example, your blood cells, your red blood cells, live approximately 120 days. And then they die off and get thrown out of the body.
They got to be busy those 120 days, because if my blood cells dry off, I'm going to grow. So how do we make sure that they don't take a day off?
I don't think you can.
See, I'm asking Sharon all the questions that a person, I'm almost 70 years old, folks, and I don't know any of this stuff. What we discovered was that not so much that I may be on something, that's well known, but Sharon is stumped. She doesn't know it herself. Why doesn't a blood cell take the day off?
I don't think there's an answer for that, Dr. Lant. That's a God question.
It's crazy. This coot is flummoxed me. Okay, so you don't know what
happens. That's a God question.
Okay,
that's not a question for me.
No, I have a lot of questions for God. Maybe you can explain something to me. Evolution. How does an animal know to evolve? What does it do? It wakes up one day and it says, I have 13 feathers and it isn't enough. So then it goes to sleep and it wakes up and says, it has 15 feathers. I have never understood how evolution works. I believe in it, but I don't know what it is. How does it decide to go from step 1 to step 2? But answer me this one, smart woman. I have never met a person who could give me an answer. It seems to be a pretty question. This bit of armor didn't work, or it needs extra armor, so it does something. What does it do? Have a convention? Raise financing? Go to an evolution school?
No, it's stress. Stress is what it does. What does it?
Well, God knows
under pressure.
Stress. If pressure changes things, then we ought to have new things changing every minute. I'm concerned because I want to save the polar bears or something, but I don't really know what they are. I mean, I know they're white bears that run around, loving each other. I'm very concerned. I think it's time that we should have a science for stupid people class. I would go to the first one. You get to ask all your questions. They would have to try to give you answers. Don't you think that's a good idea? I mean, here we are in a controlled science and we don't understand what it is. It's very interesting school, and I think old folks like me would say, why is old age necessary? Why can't we stop it? I heard a scientist say once at Harvard, he said, old age is a choice. It is? Where do I go for the alternative? Why do we have to die? By the way, these are not just my physical questions, they're real for God. God, you got me into this mess. Now, why do I have to die? You know what? I don't think he has an answer. Well, because if we had let everyone live, we wouldn't have enough space for them in the Rose Bowl. Children wouldn't get their inheritances. I think children, that is to say, people who are to inherit money, are in favor of old people dying off. What do you think? I think there's a conspiracy. They get together and the people to inherit money for program, and they say, we gotta bump off your ass fast. Otherwise, before they're going to spend all the money, they'll be poor. Do you think meetings like that happen around the world?
Perhaps. In some areas, perhaps.
I think I've warned Sharon. She's had too many questions for God today. You would have some hot chocolate.
Well, so let me just address Ken for just a moment. Ken, welcome. And thank you for giving me your real name so I can address you properly. And we're in the midst of Anything Goes. It's an interesting program we do at 1 o'clock every day on the East Coast. And it is always entertaining and informative.
It's wild and woolly.
But we do have an introductory video that you can watch. The best thing to do is click on the green Watch Video box right down below the chat bar where you type. And it's only 7 minutes long. When you're done, do come back in and talk to it because we have a bonus offer that will be presented to you. So if you would watch the video, if you'd like to hang out and listen to us, you're welcome to do that as well. But we've been jumping from topic to morning, or this afternoon, I should say.
Well, we have to hit the high spots. Now, look, let me tell you the facts here. I have 4 college degrees. I'm in the top 0.1% for education, and I don't know anything. And I'm serious. What I want to know is this stuff. I want to know how evolution works, and how does a plant, and this, I want the plant to explain to me how it knows when to blow what seeds to where. This plant has evolved from, or whatever. You know the theory, don't you, that the dinosaurs became birds. The birds are the descendant of dinosaurs. The birds are the contemporary representation. And I think, how will that happen? How could you get from a T-Rex to a bird that's hopping around on your I don't get it. We're thinking, oh, yes, I understand that bird was originally a T-Rex. I understand it. How did this thing that flies come from that thing that was weighed 14 tons? Explain this to me. And if you can explain this to me, I will make a public declaration that you are a smart woman. I have one here, right here. I'm ready to sign my name to it. You are a smart cookie.
Well,
does anybody know? Listen, I'll take any likely answers that I can come up with. Does anyone know why evolution works? How does the thing know that it wants to get rid of something, but it doesn't have Skypes, no friends, and no email?
Well, if you go by the survival of the fittest, then something says, "Oh, this isn't going to help me stay alive, so I have to modify myself to be able to stay alive."
The something is the whole essence. What is that something? Is it like a little person lives in a house in your head and says, "This house needs a new window, so I think I'll kill off all the animals that don't have this window and only keep the ones that..." How does it know? How do those know that he's not lying? It's not deceptive.
I can't say that they know that. I don't know that they have the intelligence to know that. They just adapt.
See, and Stephen Jay Gould went and died on me. I mean, Stephen Jay Gould's office was only 3 blocks away. And now, okay, here's a moral dilemma for you. Stephen Jay Gould put on a lot of weight for he was getting older, a lot. And I wanted to go over and do the insufferable, socially irresponsible thing and pat him on the stomach and say, "Stephen, no, too many conditions. No more conditions for you." I did. We've had the courage. I didn't. I used to see him all the time in my neighborhood. Anyone died on me. There was the guy that knew more about evolution than anybody, even probably than Darwin. And he went and croaked. Why did his body a new non-cookable thing so they could live? See, that's our thing. He knows all about evolution. Why didn't he get some for himself? When I go to the evolution store and buy a quarter, hey, give me a quarter pint of strawberry evolution. 2 straws.
Okay, that.
No,
No, we don't know.
What would you do? Would you have ever had the courage as a woman to go up and give him a little pat-a-roo and say, "Stephen, eat, bad."
Ken just said he spoke to his bird and she said she was made by God.
Okay, that's how my questions for God. By the way, for those of you that are listening, Sharon tried to limit the damage here. It is true that every day at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, we go friggin' crazy around here. We're like a couple of some reckless cats just doing cat crazies off the walls. It's not our fault, folks. We were programmed that way. Take it up with the management. Oops, I am the management. Yeah, I've taken it up with the management, and the management says, get out of here, Baggett. Let's take up the question of being made by God. I've thought about that a long time. First of all, how did God... These are my questions. How did God know how to make us the way we came out? He didn't know what we were supposed to look like. If you had never made a batch of humans before, how would you know that their head was supposed to be here, their fingers were supposed to be here? How would you know? Right? Who told you? Maybe your fingers are upside down. Maybe he was lazy that day. Maybe he had an apprentice that day. Maybe he had a cold. I'm serious. My father, this freaks out my father. My father's 90 years old, and he's a pillar of the Methodist Church. You see, where do these crazy ideas anyway? I looked at him during the first. I said, "From you." That shut him up. Right. That was the end of that discussion real fast. Well, what do you think? I mean, how did God know that you were supposed to have your hair here and your ears here and not the reverse? I mean, who told him? Did he care? Did he make any mistakes?
That we're supposed to be made in his image, so that's, I guess, but did he have error was the question I wanted to know. I
mean, great mind. I was just saying to myself the same thing. Did he have, I call it a looking glass, of course, because I'm of a higher social class. And, hello, Alice in the looking glass. She didn't say Alice in the mirror, by the way, but I get the point. How did he know what he looked like? Did he go down? Did he go to like Narcissus? Did he go down to like a crystal pond and look at himself? How would he? What if he missed one? What if it was a small pond? What if he had a big face? I mean, you can be logical, people. These are the questions that will spur tomorrow's science. Graduate students, 100 years ago, thank you for these observations. Well, Ken says, what was this girl here? Let's look at her. Just talked to my bird, and she said she was married by God. Oh, I see she shut up. Now that we're getting out of the nitty-gritty of what you should look like. Okay, how about this one? Why do we get older? Why do we age? Whose idea was that? Do you think God came up with that idea? I'm going to take the things that I love best that I made in my own image, and I'm going to make them old and gnarly. The only thing is God is a sadist. I've thought so myself on numerous occasions. You really think that?
What a concept.
Well, the whole thing about universities is and tenure. I live in, of course, the ultimate university town, Cambridge, Massachusetts. There are 71 colleges and universities almost within walking distance of where I'm talking to you. We're crawling with, by the way, we're crawling with people who are dirty, smudges, haven't smoked, haven't bathed. Those are the multimillionaires. You see a kid like that in Harvard Square with $150 million, and don't go up and tell him he needs a bath. He's going to probably use security guys and come and liquefy you. People don't understand when they come to Cambridge and they see how grubby everyone is. They say, do you have a grubby side? I said, no, these people, this is the way they want to be. They want to be grubby billionaires. Yeah, who can tell? Okay, so before I go on to the next question, would you marry a billionaire if he was smudged and didn't bathe? And you knew he was worth $1 billion. Would you marry a non-bathing billionaire? Let's get to the chase here.
Probably not.
Would you be willing to turn down a $1 billion relationship because of a bar of soap? Having no spirit woman? I mean, what is this? You're turning down a male because they stink?
Yeah.
Okay, now we know that she's the soap queen. Do you have sock and little brothers or something?
I don't.
Okay, let's get to the chase here. Do you buy? Let's see. You want to say? If you would, I am here. Listen to me. I feel compelled. What kind of soap do you buy? Do you buy them one at a time, or do you have a package? What kind of soap do you have? Do you have a kind of soap your mother taught you to turn you on to your own soap? We're really getting down to nitty-gritty here. Any minute now, these photos could become X-rated.
A little bit of both. I have lotion soap and I have bar soap.
Okay. Don't just say, give us the brands. Call up. We want to know, your acquiring minds want to know what soap you use.
Safeguard for the soap and Dove cleansing stuff.
Oh my God, Sharon and I are taking baths with the same soap. This is kinky. I'll call you, Sharon. I'm in the shower with my bar of Dove soap. Ooh la la! This is getting really kinky.
Dr. Lant and I are really in a mood today. Kimberly, welcome back from the video.
I think it's really amazing. This is going to be on recorded tape. And you know, I've been talking about going to the producers of Dynasty after my book is finished in a couple of weeks and having a little chat with them. And Patrice, do not lose this tape and keep it very close because we'll just give this to the producers of Duck Dynasty. And it was like, okay, here we are, people. We already exist. We already are doing the business kind of thing. And listen, people want to know. They want to know all these kinds of stuff. And they want to know if they're earning money. Now let's see what Patrice is saying here. Renewing Patrice. Patrice. Offer for the bonus offer. We got a bonus offer for every single person, including the 70 or now 95, whatever it is, people in the upper stories looking in. Sharon wants to do business. What kind of a fatuous idea is that? Sharon, read the offer.
All right, let me read the offer. Kimberly's gone, but Ken can hear the offer, and Ken, at some point you really do need to watch that video. So, but let me at least share what we have to offer here. And typically we have you watch the video first so that you get that first one. And we have an awesome offer in that video, and it's valued at $1,500. But you can also get the ability to e-blast any website or offer to 90,000 of our subscribers every month. You know, 500 landing pages. This is really below you. Well, okay. Some people are.
Oh, he's just being different. I mean, he's being difficult. He's being. So, Ken, let me ask you a couple of questions. This is really what else. First of all, you know that 95% of entrepreneurs have no sense of humor. They're dead. How many times in the last month have you gone out to dinner with an entrepreneur? 0 times. Me too. I make it a point never to go out with an entrepreneur. You know why? Because they wanted to tell you how many widgets they sold in months, and the snow came, and then they do the dog gnawed on their shoe trees. Oh, God, it's painful. Entrepreneurs, unless you can fuck as fast as intelligently as we can, go home. Ugh. Now that I've got that off my chest, better. Do you feel better? Beneath. That, and see, the point of the matter is, if you're going to do business like we do 24 hours a day, you're going to want to blow off some steam. Believe me, it's either this or you're going to get an AK-47 and have an interesting afternoon. People who work hard in business deserve the plaudits and the dividends and the profits and everything that goes along. Do you agree with that? I am sure that 20%, the old 20%, 40%, 80%, I am sure that 20% of entrepreneurs do 80% of the business. As the entrepreneurs that I've met have without fail been crazy, absolutely, and they crack jokes, and they're fun to be around, and they tell stories, and then when they know when it's time to go to work, they make another $1 million. Making $1 million is not difficult. It's simply a question of instituting, coming up with a system, implementing a system. Getting a sense of humor when you don't have one, that's not difficult. That's impossible. And I don't want those people around the house. One of the things that's going to happen to me when this book is out, and it's scaring me in Witness the last several months, my already crazy quotient of people is going to go up dramatically. And I'm just going to be way ahead. You have a silver package? Pop up $100. But I don't have $100. It'll go away until you do. It's the old Jeffrey Lant reemerging. It's like the cicadas that live in the ground, and every 7 years they come out. I'm coming back, folks. I don't know which of my 7-year cycles I'm on, but I do know this. I'm looking forward to telling you like this. Do you want me to help you? Sit in this chair, write a check, do the following 3 things. This is going to be, I'm coming out of the closet. I'm an old millionaire, and I'm going to act like it. Oh, it's going to be such fun. You whippersnappers think you know everything. Now, this is what you're going to do, and this is how you're going to do it. Don't even think of talking to me until you do it. Well, the thrill of business is going to come back. It's really damning when you have to deal with people who are not your financial level, intellectual level, whatever. It gets painful. But when you... one of the weird things is the more you break through of that box, the more money you make. Did you know that? The more you are yourself, the more money you make. Okay. Instead of trying to cater to these people and cater to their weirdness, just let your own out of the box. You already know. Do I get away with what might be described as murder on this screen? Have you ever seen me scream? Do I ever scream at people? No. Do I ever belittle them or whatever? Of course you do. Every time chance I get, because you need to break through people's barriers. It's people's barriers that keep them poor. Every business person I've ever known who was rich was crazy, like a fox. He's like the fox. You could laugh at them, cry with them, have a good time with them, and then when it came on the business side, and you go from there. And I look for people who are above average in humor. Their humor quotient is like 83%, at least. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Or am I babbling as usual? Let's see, we have Ida Crow's All right, you froze. No, you're not frozen anymore. Good. Thank you for sharing. I think and I have heard this before, the minute that you're not working for money, you start getting richer. I wish someone could have said it to me. It's like the clamps are off and you're free to do whatever you want. That means you can be honest with people. You never have to make any compromises. One of the things that happens with young entrepreneurs or people who are new in the business is they have to make a lot of compromises. And there's a lot of people they want to deal with. I always say, hold your nose and do it so that you won't get through that. That's a phase that everyone goes in. But you got to get out of it as quickly as possible, or you get demoralized. If you stay with those people, oh God, you suffer after death and 1,000 cuts. You have a comment?
Mm-hmm. I just, you have to have fun. Otherwise, why live? Just sometimes you have to let your hair down, or
loose.
Your hair, or
Darling, you use the word. You have to got to cut some craziness. Let me give you one illustration of how wicked I like to be, and that is I was sitting in an airport with 5 guys after one of our Worldprofit conferences, and 4 of them were millionaires. One of them was a pauper. And we had a very lavish dinner and drinks and the whole bit, and came time to pay the bill, and we usually voted to give the poor person. He said, you'll never get this, and you'll make sure that you get rich. So we stuffed him with a very substantial bill and felt good about it. We were really happy. But we did him a big favor. And see, schlepper, you got stuck with the check because you're a dope. Now get out there and make money. And he went, shut up, just do it. Never give a sucker an even break. W.C. Fields, one of my idol. I think W.C. Fields was the ultimate entrepreneur, certainly the ultimate moralist on a human behavior. Go play on the track. Go play on the tracks. Now, tell me you don't know W.C. Fields, and I'll fly around this place and scream like a baby. Do you know W.C. Fields?
Yes, of course.
Well, there's no course about it. On the whole, you'd be in Philadelphia. On his tombstone, because he hated Philadelphia. When he was alive, he had a contest. The first trip to present was to spend 2 weeks in Philadelphia. The second prize was to spend 1 week in Philadelphia. Wait a minute, it's the reverse. Whatever it is. And then on his tombstone, he went, on the whole, I'd rather be in Philadelphia. So Ken turned out to be a dweeb, which is perfectly okay. So Patrice, how does our sound quality sound today? Because this tape is going places. It'll go right to Duck Dynasty or equivalent. I don't see why all those dweebs should get any money when we're so much smarter and better looking. I mean, let's cut to the chase, people. The dweebs who look like they never bathed and probably never did are making $10 million a year. What is wrong with us? That is a moral issue. Patrice says, oh, perhaps terrific. Did that ever draw on you? Sometimes when I sit around and think, I'm a wealthy man and all that, but why are they, who are clearly, I can't say anything, I'm recording for them to hear. I love your show. I love your impersonation of people. Whoops! Wrong quip. Quick, Sharon, to my rescue.
Oh, no.
Anyway, we're back to evolution. We're back to evolution and soap and important things. Is it true that I find that over the course of my life, I have not asked most of the questions that I wanted answers to, and I would, in order to be thought to be a good person. Good personhood defeats you more of the time than anything else. To be a good person, you're not supposed to be socially maladjusted. Business people are socially maladjusted. They have an acute acquisitive sense, right? Business people are looking for the next buck. True or false?
People are that way, sure.
All right. So if people are looking, is there a social drawback to admitting that you're a social raptor? The most successful business people I know are all like raptors. My brother, for example, is a case in point. My brother's a multimillionaire, and he is socially ill-adjusted. He says worse things to people that I can even imagine. And he said, I said, who taught you to do that? He said, you didn't do it for me. You taught me to ask these questions. Basically, he strides into his field is the location of new petroleum fields, which is a hot field. He finds new oil fields in the United States. For example, he's found a major field in Algeria. And he collaborates closely with the CIA. Of course, the CIA is very worried about our oil supplies. Now, with the supply of gas the price going way down, we don't worry about that, but they still worry about it because they know it's going to go up. It's just a question of when. So here's a guy that he spends all the time going around with Indiana Jones, and he really looks like Indiana Jones. Is really freakish. And he does things that he knows that I would never do. For example, he lived in a volcano for a month in Hawaii. An active volcano lives for a month in those volcanoes because he's a geologist. I told him it's a specialty. And I said, well, weren't you worried that one day you were going to be fried? Like you were going to be frissy? Oh, you just from the East Coast. Well, it may be true. Apparently my record is against me. What would you say about that? Have you asked most of the questions that you wanted answered in your life? Answer. I think you said no. Let's see. Let's put it. Frankie from Germany. Willkommen, Frankie. Aus Deutschland. I better see who's on this program anyway. Michael Harris clearly can't be. Michael Harris, if you want here, Jeremiah here, Linda Elsie. One thing that if we did do the Duck Dynasty program, Linda would smoke Linda Elsie out of her cave. She'd have to come out every once in a while. I always wonder what goes on in that cave anyway. She's never invited me to her cave, never once. What did that tell you? There's something going on in there that's really good. She doesn't want to share. So Linda, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll make a deal with you. I'll give you one piece of my chocolates for 5 minutes in your cave. We are coming, it's hard to believe, to the end of our program. Well, listen, I'm going to twist that here. Linda, I know the best sources of all the chocolates of the whole world. And I have a way to get them for free. Up till now, I have not shared them for anyone for any reason. But I might be willing to cut a small deal for you, an introductory deal. Now, bit by bit, Linda, I have right on my desk some of these incredible chocolates. Unfortunately, I cannot share them with you because we have no international agreement between us. I would like to bring up Patrice. Patrice, are you ready to come up? I would like to bring up Patrice for a moment to give her kudos.
Okay, then. And thank you, Patrice, for recording. And Dr. Lant always...
You come back in the usual way. No, don't say anything yet. You know, she comes up and we do the little Patrice number, and then you go down, she comes up, and you come up and go, bye.
She can't, she said. Her camera's not working.
No, then take her time. Well, what would you like to finish today's program with? I think God Bless America would be good.
You don't want to hear me sing.
You see, here's the thing about people who sing off key like me. You can do it without guilt. If you were like pretending you're a good singer and you sang off key, everyone would feel cats at you. Well, when you say I'm a lousy singer and then you feel free to be a lousy singer, you could establish certain credibility and a feeling for courage. Courage. To sing is to have courage. My mother used to say, everyone can sing. It's just a question that everyone cannot sing well.
Well, that's true.
I used to hate singing. I almost became a Catholic because you didn't have to sing in Catholic church. And then the Vatican had a council and they were quote singing in churches. And I couldn't get away from it anymore. I used to hate to get up in church on Sundays to sing, Jesus loves the little children. Oh, God, let's please get over it. I always suffered from being hot in the head. When you stood up, did you ever have vertigo in church? I know in your temple, did you ever have vertigo? Like you thought you were going to pass out? I haven't had it all the time.
Probably.
Well, it was distressing to everyone. Well, imagine your eldest son who's supposed to be presented as the white hope of the dynasty, and there you are passing out because you can't sing Jesus loves little children without passing out. Put that on the ball.
Oh, goodness.
Yes, sir. We are. At any time you are ready to. Do you want to say anything to the people on our right hand side? Like, look, dweebs, why didn't you participate? Something along those lines.
Everybody's been very
Lazy
quiet
creatures.
today, except for Patrice. Everybody's been very
Well,
quiet.
they're suffering from guilt. You know why they're suffering from guilt? Because I got to get up here at 2 o'clock in the morning. I got up and then I came in here just to see what's going on, and there's no one there, and that is the thing that's most calculated to make me hit the roof. When I went to bed, everything was all right. 3 hours later, it was chaos. So you got to roll with the punches. You got to roll with the whole boxing industry to deal with that. And I wish people, and I know who the culprit is, but the culprit, you could have called and said, you were out of commission or something. Don't you think it's terrible? They didn't even tell you they just disappear.
Yeah.
And then they come back and say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it. Of course they meant to do it. What do you mean you're sorry you did it? You did it. So how sorry could you be? Don't wrote that nasty passage into my book.
Yeah.
Susan Wright.
But as I read it,
Never have bad behavior in front of an author who needs copy. He can and will defame you forever.
Put it right in there.
What are you?
Mm-hmm.
What are your final thoughts? You're coming down to final thoughts time.
Well, final thoughts. I'm glad I was able to come up and join you for a little bit, and unexpectedly here. But it's
You
been
thought
fun.
it was flying off the planet, didn't you?
Hour and plus. And flying off. No. Just I like to hear your God questions.
I had a rage the other day. I went into a rage. You never saw me in a rage, of course. I mean, I was even, I'm a perfect gentleman, as I said, about the Pouncer.
So even tempered.
Well, what did you think of the Pouncer story? Remember the Pouncer story about how the lawyer called my bank to find out if I was a Pouncer or not? Do you remember that story?
No.
Okay, well, we have just time to tell you the story. The Cambridge Trust Company has these annual dinners where they pull out all the stops and you arrive at the party and they assign you to an officer and it's a very nice identity. So last year, I was invited, which was the first mistake. Because it's the major depositors meet dinner and they treat you like you're a king. And there was a woman that arrived after I did. And she was looking around for obviously pretending probably that she knew someone there, but she didn't. So I went up to her and I said, "May I help you?" "Oh God," butter couldn't melt my mouth. So I help her, and guess what? She's sitting next to me. And I thought, "Oh God, this is like a Cosmo magazine quiz. What do you do when?" And we got along like the house file, and she was in there and very funny, about my age, a little bit younger. And I invited her to come over to see my art collection, and what she did was she called the bank the next day for a reference before. And she said to the officer, "Is Dr. Lant a Pouncer?" And he said, "Oh, certainly not. He's always a perfect gentleman. A Pouncer is the very idea." And so, of course,
that's the right answer.
He called me. That was the wrong answer. And I said she was closer to 60 than 50, had a few extra pounds, and her moisturizers had been and they weren't insufficient at all. And she wasn't afraid that I wasn't, but she was afraid that I'd miss it, and that I wouldn't be pouncing on her. And she wanted an affidavit in triplicate. So anyway, this story makes its way into the book as a contemporary social problem. Women want guarantees now. But can you imagine calling your bank and saying, "Excuse me, the person I said, is he a Pouncer?" It leads to all sorts of suppositions about what were the next set of questions. How good a Pouncer? How often a Pouncer? What days do I pounce? What days am I off? What days do I not pounce for religious purposes? I mean, does it not open a whole can of worms for you?
Hello, dog.
Sharon's sound is off. Okay, now we're at the end of our time. I want to thank Sharon for her goofiness and her willingness to be goofy, her willingness to tolerate goofiness. And last, I always want to say to our colleagues, what good are you guys? You don't even. My grandmother used to say, if you're in dance, what good are you? So, I mean that if you can't have a good time, go to Chase Manhattan Bank. Do not bank with us. For those of you that have been listening in, ask yourself this question. Does anyone come and help you make money on the internet every day and invite you to blow off steam? Because I got news for you. The richer that you get, the more steam you're going to want to blow off because of all the people that are around you. So on behalf of blowing off steam, this has been Dr. Jeffrey Lant, the CEO and co-founder for the last 23 years. Probably the shareholders are voting right now to terminate my contract. Oh, well, it could happen to anyone. Have a nice day. We'll see you again tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, or tomorrow we will continue with our Infinite series. We are, by the way, the longest running live webcast in the whole world. You'll see us on YouTube. You'll see us all over the internet. There are thousands of these tapes circulating where the question is money on the net. We are there. I want to thank Patrice Porter, as usual, for her fine service in slinging the wires, and I want to thank Sharon Shots for slinging the hash. These ladies are they are good fun, and they are serious. They are serious business. So don't get it away. Last one, good thought from Sharon. Anything?
Nothing in particular. I'm off to go work on my taxes again, so I will see you tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, 7 a.m.
You certainly are.
Right.
Thank you, Patrice. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you all sundry. We're going to now switch over to our regular programming.
I hope you're
serious and money making. But I am well oriented, and I know that Sharon is.